Hello out there, comic book lovers. It is Friday. So you know what that means. I'm doing my Friday night reviews. I am going to take three comics from the previous Wednesday, so the three what I thought were the best, and do a review of them. And then I'm going to take the one that I liked the least. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad, but it's the one that I liked the least. And check it out. Happy Friday night, people. You know what that means? It is time for Friday night reviews. In the tradition of Thanksgiving, I'm going to review all the comics that I'm thankful for, good or bad. I'll probably go back to the regular format here next week, but tonight, let's just do it all. Tried to do this before and something happened, and so I'm shooting it a second time. But that's not important. Let's go. First comic we have tonight, we're going from worst to best. Power Pack Outlawed #1. If you watched my original LCS haul earlier, I had said that I'm old enough to remember picking up the original run of Power Pack, and I think I liked it at the time. But then again, when I watch a movie nowadays that I seem to have a good memory of from before, sometimes those movies sucked balls. You know what? This is like one of those movies. Even though it's newer, it sucked balls. So you have Ryan North, Nico Leone, and Rochelle Rosenberg as a creative team. Now, I'm not knocking the creative team. They've done more than I have. I like to think that I want to write for a living. They've actually got published. They've got jobs writing. I don't. So, good for them. But this story, I just did not enjoy. It starts out with one of the characters. It's a family of, mother, father, and some kids, the Power family, who the kids gain powers. All right? The parents don't know that they have all these powers. And so in this one, you have the youngest child writing a comic explaining how they got their powers and all this stuff, right? Which is, all the other kids seem to think is cool, but she intends to give it to her parents for a wedding present, because what parent doesn't like their kids giving them a heartfelt, present that they made themselves? A lot of parents are, impressed by that. But all the other brothers and sisters are like, yeah, you can't tell them that we have these powers, these suits that give us powers. And then one of their, bigger villains shows up and yada, yada, yada. And then you have this group saying, this secret law enforcement group saying, you have, you're all under arrest. It was not good. I did not enjoy it. It was just not something that got me, and I have no intention of picking up #2 because, no. I'm going to give it, I'm going to do something that I think is kind of rare in my reviews. I'm going to give it a sub-whole number as a review. I'm going to give it a 0.5. 0.5 out of 5. It was just not good. All right. Let's go on to the second one. Werewolf by Night #2. Again by Marvel. Now we have Taboo is the writer. Looking inside of this, that's the only name they gave him was Taboo. Pseudonym? Probably. Then you have Earl, Eaton, Hannah, and Mara as the rest of the creative team. Now, this is not the original Werewolf by Night. This is somebody new. He is a Native American / Mexican mix who lives on a reservation, and he can switch to a werewolf anytime the night comes. And up to this point, he can control himself through the use of some earbuds where his friend, this congenial young Caucasian girl, provides him, and they do playlists, and they come across some evil people doing sex trafficking, which is not a good thing, and they try and stop it. But they also have other werewolf type things, and in this one, it's him trying to deal with being separated from her and control the beast, and some of the law enforcement from the reservation and trying to figure stuff out. And I've seen it all before. I don't know. This one, I wasn't a fan of the original Werewolf by Night, but I thought I'd give this one a shot. No, I'm not. I'm not. Yeah, I didn't like it, so I'm gonna go 0.75 out of 5 and just say screw it. If you liked the original, you might like this. Maybe not, because it's not the same people. But this is my opinion after all. Okay, number 3, Philadelphia, number 10. I've reviewed these before. This one is you have the mayor of Philadelphia, the governor of Pennsylvania all killed off, and this one spends a lot of time doing the background story of a character that had been introduced before, and you bring him up to the point, and there's not a whole lot of the original story going on. Fine, it's world building, you're introducing these characters, but the original characters aren't all that interesting to me to begin with, and some of these minor characters, for me anyway, it's like, who cares? I've been buying them, hoping things are going to get a little bit better, because there have been some good issues, but between the fluctuating story and the art being not so great, and just bringing in these characters that it's like, dude, why is this person here? It just hasn't done anything for me. I called my shop, it was either yesterday or today, and said, done, take it off my pull list. 1.5 out of 5. Let's get on to the next one. This will be, what is this? Bleed Them Dry, number 5. I picked up the first one. It was Vampire Ninjas. Really, seriously. Who doesn't like vampires? Who doesn't like ninjas? Vampire Ninja? Yes. First couple books were really good. Oh, and by the way, this is Vault Comics. You have RAHAL and RURN, Muerto, and World as a creative team. You had a couple of people. It's set in 33, and where there's a whole area of like a vampire city, and you have purebloods, you have people are changed over, and there's a police force, and one of the cops gets set up for murder. And I thought this was going to be an ongoing series, and I was going to stop it. This one, it was okay because you had like 3 of the main characters involved in the story, and it's setting up for a confrontation, and it turns out the next issue is the last one. This one was one of the better ones. And it says to be concluded on this one. So, yeah, I mean, I'm going to, just because there's only one issue left, I'm sure I will get the last one just to see how the story ends up. But if it was going to keep going, I probably wouldn't recommend it. The art is fairly good and not good enough to push it over the edge because the story is not that great. But I'm going to give this a 2.25 and just say it. And I will get the next one just because I want to see how it ends. Now let's move on to the next one. This is the Plot. And this is number 7. All right. This has been one of the ones that have just been, it takes a lot of time to get to. I think it's been sporadic. This is also by Vault Comics. You have the son of a, kind of a big family showing up to the house, to the family home because his brother and sister-in-law have been killed. He's coming into town to look after the kids because, and of course the family has history. He has history. He was the bad kid. And some weird shit starts going on and they're dealing with it. Again, this is the last issue second to the last issue, sorry. And if it hadn't been the second to the last issue, I wouldn't recommend picking up the next one. But again, I'm going to probably pick up the next one just to see how it ends. It's weird. I'm still not quite 100% sure what's going on. But I'm going to give it 2.5 out of 5. Okay, just have a few more left here. We have Vampirella number 15, which concludes this arc. You have Vampirella being stuck in the metaphysical world after the last story, after what happened in the last story. And you have two women approach her who are ghosts, and there's a short little discussion of whether, of what are ghosts, and they want her to go out and kill the man who killed them, who's a cop. And I guess it's either a conclusion of the last one or it's a one shot. But, it was kind of interesting, but I'm getting to the point where kind of interesting doesn't get it for me anymore. And after 15 issues, there hasn't been enough of the story that makes me want to keep going. And I've liked Vampirella, but the art's good. And I know, who is it? It's a Priest is usually a pretty good writer, but I just haven't been super impressed with this series. The art is really good, but I'm gonna give this 2.75 out of 5. It's just no. All right, so let's move on. Now we have Justice League Dark number 28. This concludes the long-lasting Magic War thing with the Upside Down Man and all this other stuff. You have... No, okay, let me show this right here. That right there is supposed to be Wonder Woman. Since when is Wonder Woman that damn buff? Seriously, that looks like the tranny Wonder Woman, or a man cosplaying as Wonder Woman. She's never had muscles that size. It's like, dude, all right. And you have Wonder Woman and Zatanna trying to defeat the Upside Down Man in magic, and it happens. So this is concluding the series and setting up for the next story arc. And this looks like it's going to be another event, because it just says, okay, and this one is going to be this series, this series, this series, this issue. And you know what? I don't like this enough to have to try and follow a whole bunch of different books. Yeah. I mean, I like Wonder Woman, I like Zatanna, I like Constantine, and I like horror stories, but this one, I don't know. I'm just gonna give this a 3.0 out of 5 and say no, not gonna give any more. Now let's go on to our next book, Batman Superman number 14. This picks up where the last one left off. There is a robot or a computer program designed by Batman. He an AI to help them fight the bad guys. Got all the different information on bad guys on it, and they built it with some of Superman in it, with some of Batman in it. You've got the hope, you've got the darkness, in it. And in the last issue, a bad guy had turned it against him. So Batman and Superman with a Batwoman, Steel, and a couple other people on the moon trying to beat this guy. And after all the times that Batman has done shit like this, where he's made these computer programs that have turned against him, or so what was it, the one where he had all the different ways to defeat the Justice League in there. You had the things that led up into the Brother Eye or whatever it is. You'd think he'd learn, but so this one finishes it. And again, I'm probably not going to pick up number 15. I'm going to give this, again, 3.0 out of 5. Now we're moving on to the good stuff. Devil's Highway, 5 out of 5. AWA Upshot. All of the series that I've read by AWA were Upshot, except for one I've liked. I picked up the first two of one of them. It was the Kentucky one. Didn't like it. But this is exceptional. It's Benjamin Percy, writer, Brett Schoonover, and Nick Filardi. So you have a woman whose father was murdered coming back into town trying to investigate why he was murdered. She's the stereotypical hard-driven, ex-military person who was kicked out for, what in the military we referred to as a DH, dishonorable discharge, because she doesn't take orders. And this involves truckers and serial killers. So this is the conclusion, and she does find out who killed her father. And one of the cool things about what AWA Upshot does is they do one story, 1 through 5, right? That's one series, right? Then they stop, right? And then they will do a volume 2, boom. So this is good. I really enjoy this. If you haven't read this, it's a good mystery. So I'm going to give this a 3.5 out of 5. Now, next, Department of Truth number 3. This looks like it's a, what do you call it? A virgin cover. This one, I really loved the first two. This one, it wasn't as good. as the first two, which is kind of disappointing. This James Tynion IV and Image. Now, here's the thing. It is sort of like a kind of an MIB type thing, but not, because this one is the Department of Truth, and they deal with conspiracy theories, and you can believe something into existence, and so this group is trying to fight that, and this one was just a little too out there for me. Not that I don't mind good conspiracy theory stuff, but in literature, in stories. But this one is just, I don't know what's up with that. It's just you have a woman whose son dies in a school shooting, and then you have what sort of they're making out to be like an Alex Jones type guy doing stuff. Then she's into the forums, and the Department of Truth can go and steal stuff from her of proof, and it was a little weird. Hopefully number 4 goes back to being as good as it was. So I'm going to give this, I don't know what the last one was. I'm going to give it a 3.0 out of 5. Now, let's go. White Widow number 5 by Absolute Comics Group. I really like this series. It's kind of a blatant ripoff of Spider-Man. Spider-Woman. So you have this character right here. Her parents worked at a, what do you call it? A lab, they worked for this company, and they're developing all this stuff, like nanites and things. And she was sick. She was going to die. And she said had some sort of blood disorder or whatever. And in order to save her, they inject her with this stuff. And then right after they, then they wind up getting killed. So she gets this suit from the nanites, and people are after her because of the nanites. She doesn't know what's going on, so she's slowly figuring things out and figuring out what her powers are. And it is really kind of fun. Don't know who the writers are. Next time I'm going to sit there and write down the creative teams for each one. And take a little bit better notes. But this time there's this mysterious, private school that one of her friends should have been able to get into because her family is really rich. And nobody turns down that family, but her family got turned down. And the patch on her arm matches that school, and she's like, okay, maybe my parents put this on there to give me a clue because some people who have attacked her have the same thing. So she just shows up at that school, and boom. So I'm going to give this 3.75 out of 5. Now, this right here surprises me. Normally, this is one of the ones that are, number 1. Sometimes it's number 2. But this week it's number 2. Detective Comics number 1031 by is it Lemire? Tomasi. Peter Tomasi. Sorry. Now, this is the continuing part of the after effects of the Joker War. It deals with a couple different things. You have someone visiting the guy who's running for mayor for Gotham, who says that, he's anti-vigilante. He wants everyone with a mask to take their mask off, whether it's good guy or bad guy. Excuse me. Then you have the Mirror, who is, we don't know whether he's a good guy or bad guy, but he's leading the anti-vigilante thing to end it, right? So this guy comes up, tries to give the new guy running for mayor a hard drive with information that he needs. The new guy running for mayor says, you're a mask. I don't want to deal with you. I don't care who you are. I'd rather lose the election than get some help from you. But then you also have the Bat team watching a bunch of people come together for like a flash mob type thing. So it turns out that we have the pro-vigilantes and the anti-vigilantes, or pro-mask, anti-mask people coming together, and they are being manipulated by the mirror. And so they have to, deal with this stuff. And you also have Damian Wayne, who has gone underground investigating some stuff dealing with his parents, his dad's murder. This is really, I love what they're doing with this right here. And tell you, if you like Batman and you didn't like what they're doing with him before, get it now because it's some really good stuff. I'm going to give this a 4.25 out of 5. Now, this is what really kind of freaked me out, the Beat Detective. I picked up number 1 before, and it was awesome. Number 2 was even better. The Scumbag. Number 2, Image Comics. It says, The Scumbag, the world's fate rests with the worst person on it. And here are the people right here. I don't think this is an ongoing. It's got to be a miniseries. But basically, you got this guy who is such a drug-addled idiot, who wouldn't know who he was half the time. He's just gone on, on all sorts of drugs, and he somehow managed to get injected by some weapon. And there's some bad guys who have a bomb in New York City, and so this group has to rely on him to help get this bomb, or at least work with him until they can get the stuff out of him. And it's a really interesting, funny story. And trust me, this guy is a dick. And you're really trying to, you're really enjoying the story and thinking, how does this guy even live? Dude, pick this up. Pick it up. It's such a fun story. I'm going to give this a 4.5 out of 5 and suggest that if you don't want to pick up number 1 and 2, wait for the trade, but trust me, you'll enjoy it. Anyway, happy Thanksgiving. I hope you had one, good one yesterday, and enjoy your comics.